Under the Radar is a web radio that unites three people that use their spoken words powerfully. Alex, Céline and Marco are here to see and speak, to see what is being played instantly, honestly, without any complacency for themselves or for the other, to see precisely and to speak freely, to reveal their own power. The first recordings will give you the tonality of the exchanges, right here.
Bonjour Céline. N'importe quoi. Oh, n'importe quoi. Allez, vas-y. Au secours.
Salut Alex.
Aidez-moi.
C'est la chaleur.
Aidez-moi, c'est la chaleur. C'est la canicule.
On est bouillis, on est bouillis.
On est bouillis, mais il y a des sujets qui bouillent. Help, aidez-nous. Allez, on la refait. Bonjour Céline.
Salut Alex.
Il y a un sujet qui
There's a
revient
subject
dans
that's
l'air,
coming
c'est
back
celui des
in
récalcitrants.
the air.
Celui
The
des
ones
réfractaires,
of
celui
the
des
people
personnes
like
comme
you and
toi et moi
I
qui voient
that see between the
entre les lignes
lines
et
and
qui
that potentially have
potentiellement ont
the
la possibilité aussi de se
possibility
faire
of being put in a
On voulait démarrer
mass.
cet
We wanted
épisode par
to
ce biais-là, et puis on verra
start
où ça
with
nous
this
emmène.
and see where it goes. So Céline is saying what came to me effectively is that when you spoke of the people that are manifesting, the people in the road or in a group, it starts well, that are put in a group to go against something that is put in place, etc. So we can speak of all kinds of groups. It brings me to what? It brings me effectively to speak of an egregore. An egregore is what? There are energies that are in a group for the same cause. And they have no consciousness that the fact that being in a group with this benevolence and this goodwill to unite themselves for a cause, they're not conscious that it's just a little bit of milk for the entities because it's repairable, one. Second, everyone is at the same place. And three, it's a mass, a direct mass. And how does it finish? It finishes in a closed circuit. Meaning, what do I see in all of this? If they want to look, if it just be a petition, for example, I see regularly petitions and asking me to sign a petition on Facebook. I don't sign any by principle because I never knew where it went concretely. But what do I see behind this? I see that effectively already a localization. So we are all localized. The example of the electronic petition is the best one today to illustrate this, is that the localization of all the ones that signed it, and so are very easily repairable and put in a mass. Concretely, if, how do we call this, if there could be like a repression of it or a reprimand. But in the subtle worlds, I already see that these petitions, I've never seen any result. I've never seen any result of these petitions at all. If it had concluded to something. So I see many petitions that are put in the wind, but then I don't know what happened. There's no result or return or my actuality. Oh, thank you for everyone for a sign. The cause has been heard and it's been taken care of. If you've seen it, I've never seen this. Please show me. So the example of this electronic petition is the best. But it can be also with people that reunite. For example, that have info COVID, info, all kinds of things. Everything that is of the order of, like you call them, the recalcifications, that have perfectly the right to express themselves, perfectly the right to position themselves and say no to this or that. But right now, we don't see the result of things that are happening right now. But in the subtle worlds, the mechanism that I see is that this group is in a closed vase. And I saw this, use this expression of a vase that is closed. Is that like these people that are regrouping themselves, isolated themselves completely, auto-isolated themselves. So the result is that it can't be operable. Only what it can be operable and where I saw results as an example is that when there was plaints, I think like as a group injustice, it has a name that we can have like a return. The best example that I have is the Kennedy lawyer that obtained millions of dollars. I'm saying one or many, I don't remember, but for a laboratory, he condemned a laboratory because the secondary effects were completely just anything. So yeah, I saw results. I saw a result on this. But whatever happens, it stays in a vase that is closed. Alex is going to continue by pulling the thread, is that we don't want to point the finger to the individuals that constitute these communities. What we are pointing at is the effect of the collective, of the group, of the community. So I'm going to give complementary examples. I wanted to bring one that you talked about, the signatures of petitions, and it doesn't give anything. So another example that was that we can talk about is that the yellow vest and what it really gave. Can someone today tell me that it was a revolution, that it was that revolutionized, that reinversed the situation or power, that really scared the elites? We'll say it like this in their hierarchy.
C'est mon téléphone qui est en train de sonner. Ouais, je vais couper les notifications parce que là ça n'arrête pas. D'accord. Ouais.
So another example is the example of the syndicates.
De la même façon,
being in a union. The same way, if someone is lucid, can bring an idea that the union has a good power against the power that's in place. And I'm speaking of knowledge of this, that it be for the yellow vest or that be a union, that it be a signature of petition. In your case, it's the same thing. I never had to give my signature for a cause. The last example that came was activism in the time of COVID. I was part of the manifestations that thought that by manifesting themselves concretely in the road or in the street, that we were able to make the lines move. And I wasn't conscious of the masquerade of really of what was behind all of this situation, the bullshit behind all of this situation. So those examples made us see that to believe to reunite ourselves as a collective, to reunite as a group, or to believe that we're in a community, to be able to go and move those lines is a trap. Meaning that when we are in and around an idea together, a cause, or something that really holds us to heart, and then we think that we can move those lines because we are grouped in a community, there is really a bullshit that's there. And I'm going to give you, it has nothing to do with the positioning or a clear positioning an individual can have in a group. What did you want to add, Céline? I wanted to add that effectively these positionings in the concrete world shows at what point it's in vain. If we come on the yellow vest, well, we saw that there's all kinds of people that got hurt, and there was a mess everywhere, so there's no conclusion. So what comes is that we can see the visual effect in the concrete world, but what's being played in the subtle worlds and the occults. And I'm coming back on that mass, on that bowl that is closed, that vase that is closed. I never found that intelligent. I never saw the intelligence in this. And I never saw the interest to reunite ourselves. Even when I was very young, I was extremely in my individuality. And that's the parenthesis that I wanted to bring, and I'm closing it now, but it's just to see that strategically, concretely, we can see what's happening, and nothing's really happening. Nothing is happening, or very little, actually. Even with all the individuals and masses for even the last 10 or 20 years, nothing is moving. Nothing, almost nothing obtained. But strategically, what I see is that it's in vain, but also it's a trap, like you were saying. It's a trap, meaning that we're going to let the avatars in their circuits that are closed, in their closed vase. Everyone is going to go with their word, and it's okay. But it won't, nothing will happen, very little actually. So all this time, everything else is happening. And in the subtle worlds, it's the ideal for the entities to go for a mass. Strategically, it's bullshit to be in a group. We are really making it easy for them. And one individual doesn't need to be isolated either, but today, to be disseminated everywhere strategically, that is intelligent. So the alliances that we can recognize, the alliance that we can recognize between each other as an individual in consciousness and in their power, there's no necessity at all to group ourselves geographically or physically to do whatever we want to do, or to try to prevent or even do something together. Today, the technologies, even if there's a little bit of bullshit in it, but they can help us communicate really easily, even if we're thousands of kilometers away. And the information goes from spirit, the connections are done. Today, the connections are done. The recognitions are done from spirit to spirit, from avatar to avatar. So, their individual power has all of its importance and its value, I was going to say, by being out of a group. By being out of a group. The group is a lure. Telepathically, the information will pass. Subtly, the information will pass. And we have the technologies also to discuss at a distance without any problem. And if we see, like Alex is saying, what motivates these groups, what honestly is a reflex of fear. I'm scared to be isolated or scared to defend this idea. I'm scared to have like a consequence if I'm the only one to defend this idea that are uncontroversial. Even like with your family, like Céline is saying, and Alex is saying, of course, that's what we were for COVID when we grouped together, is that certain families imploded because only one was going to go against this vaccination. It was really complicated for him. So we're trying to search for actions and thoughts that are together, ways of doing it together, or grouping with people that think the same way. So as an alliance, it's important when it's done, but there's no idea of fear behind it. There's the idea of tacticals, of going against these entities and using the same arms. And like Céline is saying, the same tools. So we communicate, but we are not in propaganda. The information is coming down. We share our observations and our information, but that's what's happening right here concretely. But it's already done in other plans from spirit to spirit. And I wanted to speak of this tempo, this temporarily that I speak of a tempo. Why tempo? Because today it's this. It pulsates. It's go fast. We can't waste time anymore because there's a turnaround. That's very important, that's being played like in a society and even in humanity, not only in a country. So these recognitions, it's now. It's right now. That's the side of it. Why? Because it's been prepared, but it's affirming itself now. Each one an advantage. And Alex is saying the idea behind all of this is momentarily we may need another, and maybe we're attacked more or we're lower in energetically. And what I'm seeing is that we have the capacity to bring each other energy to each other in those moments without emptying each other. So once a connection of an alliance is done, once we are linked, when we speak to each other, it's not complicated to put in plus. We just need to exchange, and it's done by speaking, but also by sending the vibration, and it can be charged. And we recharge ourselves in that way. And there's no discharge. It's not to the detriment of one or the other. That's what I'm seeing. And I also wanted to finish by saying that the trap of the community that sometimes group themselves and find themselves around personalities. All of that were people that just permitted to regroup certain people and say, okay, we found someone that has an authority that's going to be able to represent us. When we're searching for someone that's going to represent us, we're losing our axe, and we think the other one will be better than us to represent, and we give our power, we give our energy to the other. Exactly. And it's to be able to be in consent with all of this masquerade. So it's people that, if we look in detail, have never been in fear, really. So through airs that decide or opinions, and it's just the indicator that puts me in guard, is that once there's that opinion, I can see warnings that are there, and if those are people that are authorized to speak in a mass, it's because it's wanted. And I'm not going to be part of the stupid people that will give their consent to make us believe that there's a possibility to reinverse the table in a collective way. Because if we look in the detail, whatever I just said was able to do this. No one that were invited in official places that speak to us, even Alexandra that was witnessing or was talking about her publicity of one of her books with COVID, didn't influence anything. All of that is convenient and wanted, but the real power is individual. It is individual, definitively today. Why? Because we don't need to group ourselves. The power that we deploy in vibration, but also in matter, it can't even be measured, and that we forgot about it. And Céline is saying, well, it's already in vibration, already in matter, and in other plans. But yes, of course it's in matter, because when you're in your globality, when you're in your power, in your globality, your vibration, they pass and go where they need to go, and believe me, and it will be receptioned. It's very well taken care of. So that's why the individual was diluted in each time in like groups or masses. I always said an individual, a collective, what is it? Made with individuals that are lost, and that's where we are today. And there's that notion that you just said justly, is to say, well, oh, that pretext has an authority to speak, she'll be able to represent us, but she's not going to represent anything at all. That's just like bullshit. It's bullshit in the measure that she'll represent what? Individuals that give them all their power, that give them credit and power. Here I give you my credit and my power to represent us. But we shouldn't be represented by whoever. You just have to be who we are, simply, in our own power. And to give your tonality, to position yourself is individual. when you vibrate in your in your rage and you say stop and you say it's sufficient, it will go in the concrete world and elsewhere. Alex explains, yeah, you're speaking of tempo and temporality. What I'm saying today as a nuance is that we shouldn't believe that it can take time. Sometimes it instantaneously. A change of attitude, a change of position can have an instantaneous effect. The nuance that I'm posing is that each thing arrives at its own pace, not before or after. And there I see a trap behind this, is to make us believe that it's going to ask us to wait for time, or that it's asking, or that we're going to suffer also. Yeah, there's a great program in that, is to know that everything has to go through that suffering. First trap is that it's going to take time. Second trap is that it's going to bring suffering or in difficulty or frustration or something in order of my experience that is this or that, and if I don't suffer I won't be able to get to it. And Céline is saying, because at the tempo, I'm sorry, but when I'm doing that, it's observation, integration, action, boom. It's treated 1, 2, 3 days. It's really that vibrates, actually. It's really that vibrates. Still today, these ideas, yeah, it's going to take time, we need to leave it in this way, but that's rest of spirituality. It's rest or leftovers of beliefs, whatever or wherever they come from. But it's leftover beliefs. Today, the tempo is given. The tempo is given. It's not me that's giving it. I'm living it like this, and I feel like it, and I see it like this. It is given, meaning that it is now, and you are capable, we are capable, we are apt. When we are complete, we can do it without waiting. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. So, at the time being right now, instantaneously with your spirit, it is doable, it's realizable, it can be verifiable, and it's more than ever there. When we put the idea that it's possible, it becomes it. And to finish, what concerns me, I'm insisting on a point, on an alliance. If you look around you, there's surely people that are a little bit more attacked, I'm going to say it that way, or that really live attacks that are difficult to live. In this moment right now, the alliance takes all of its sense, meaning that there's nothing that justifies that it lasts. Nothing that will justify that it lasts. And in moments like this, to pass or to not be in contact with that relationship would be a mistake for me. Céline saying yes. In rapport to this, to know that the alliance in those moments is a presence. It's a presence, and in any case, it's an ally that's going to take care of the problem of the other, or the defiance of the other, or fragility of the other, that is momentarily, evidently, but the presence full that lives in its vibration, it really boosts the other, it reboosts the other, and we don't lose anything in energy, but the other will redo or the system will take place and start over again. It's like there's a bug all of a sudden, and we see what's happening together, we can see where it's situated, and the person will take care of her problem, of her bug, and deprogram, but it's energetic what's happening. It won't be acting for the other or do for the other. And revenge, from spirit to spirit, to support each other, is also by combat, meaning that two spirits that meet each other and see the avatar of the other in great difficulty and see right away where it's coming from as entities. Well, it's fighting, and it will cut. It will cut. It's not letting any place. The spirit will not let space for that. It's not possible. So there's action also in the subtle worlds. Without sommation. Yes, directly. Thank you, Céline. Thank you, Alex.